First, I just have to tell you how happy we are to be with you tonight. We've come a long way here, but we have a great deal of love and respect for the Mennonite community. We've gotten the honor of speaking in many different ones in parts of the country. And we thank you basically overall for your wonderful support for us, and we are very happy to be with you tonight. We're going to share with you a journey. It's not a path that I would want anyone to ever have to go down. And you'll understand that very clearly. Can you hear me well? Can you hear well? Okay. We call it the path from pain to peace. And it was a long, long journey, a path we never would have expected. If anyone would have told us ahead of time that we would have to know or learn a lot about the death penalty because we go through this horrible, horrible experience, we would have just said, you know, I don't understand. I don't know anything about the death penalty. We knew nothing about it ahead of time. We are both native Midwesterners, so we feel like we're home here tonight in a special way. I was born and raised in Illinois. My husband is born and raised in Missouri, but he went to college here, Bennington College in Atchison. We met here in the Midwest. We were both working on our PhDs in graduate school, and it was the University of Notre Dame where he got his PhD, and that's where we were married. So this is like coming home to us. We also, besides having the solid Midwesterners in common, we were both raised in very large Catholic families here in the Midwest. Can you imagine when we met, we were both number 5 out of 8 children. We're out on our first date. Oh, you're from Missouri. Oh, and you went to graduate school. You were working on a PhD. Yes, yeah. Oh, you had a big family. Yeah, I have 8 brothers and sisters. I have 7. And you're number 5. Oh, I'm number 5. Yeah, I mean, you can just imagine. Don't you just kind of, when those things happen to you, like you say, God, I think you're sending a little message here. This was supposed to be. We had common beliefs and very strong principles. And I thank God every day that we had those because it helped us take this journey, this path of direction we went. Most people don't believe when you start telling a story like this that a murder victim's family would go this direction afterwards. A lot of people are mistaken about that. That's changing very, very quickly. I work with murder victims' families in 22 different states now. I've headed up a national organization of murder victims' families because this was thrown at us. And I am amazed at how much this attitude had changed everyone about this death penalty system. And we do nothing, as I said before. Our common beliefs truly, truly helped us through this difficult situation. If I thank God more than anything else, it was for my faith that got me through it. It made me hold on to something that I thought was never, ever going to get me through it. And then also my educational background. Mine was in social work and sociology. I worked in poverty, inner city housing projects and various types of causes. My husband's PhD is in economics, and we have this grounded background in beliefs. In 1970, after our marriage in 1971 on the campus of the University of Notre Dame, we started sending out, we were working on our PhD dissertations, we started sending out our job applications. And we decided wherever the first job would come, we would try to work together to move to that area and begin our married life. So we sent them out. I got the first offer to teach at the graduate school at the University of Maryland in Baltimore City, downtown Baltimore, if you've ever been there. And my husband shortly thereafter found a job in working in government Social Security Administration. And our first years of marriage were kind of trying to pay off the debts. You know how that goes when you don't have a lot of parents that were handing money with some of the siblings to help educate. So we tried to work at that, and then in 1974 we had our wonderful first gift from God, which was our daughter Shannon. She was born in Howard County, Maryland, and you may wonder, Shannon now. Schieber is a real German last name, that's his background, but I've got the Irish side. And our son, who was born 18 months later, his name was Sean, okay? we kept a little balance too. But Shannon was, well, what parent doesn't say this? Shannon was such a gift from God. We were so, so grateful. And we could just see early on in life, because I've been a teacher for many years. I started out teaching grade school and moved to advanced education. But at 18 months, how many kids do you know really begin to know their alphabet? At 3 years of age, she could read at a second or third grade level. She was just brilliant. You could just see the gifts. But she had these other wonderful gifts. I'm going to have to just start by showing you a picture, because they always say if you tell a story, people relate to it, they come into it with you together. This is my daughter taken just a few years before she was murdered. Beautiful, beautiful person. But not so much on the outside, although she was beautiful. It was more important, and she knew it to be that way on the inside. She was raised and to be very involved in her community, and she believed that if, to whom much is given, much is expected. And those talents just kept growing and growing. She could hardly have to open a book and she could get straight A's coming through school. She got very involved in our parish social justice committee. Of course, and that was my background, was really getting involved in the community and taking your gifts and bringing them back to make the world a better place. She grew up with that principle, Mom, Dad, I want to make a difference. What can I do to make a difference? And so we tried to foster that and support that in every way possible. So she gets through grade school many times, straight A report cards, without ever having to open a book. Really, it was just amazing. She gets to a wonderful high school, does really well in there, and then she starts deciding at the end, where is she going to go to college? This is, for those of you who have raised kids, you know this is a difficult time, because you want to send them someplace where they're going to be happy, where they have a good background in their field, and that they are going to fit into the community, and it's a safe community. Important word for this story. So she looked around, she went to Minnesota, she got accepted at Ivy League schools. I mean, her grade point average was way off the charts, her GPA scores were amazing. And so she got invited to come to many Ivy League schools, but she wanted to go to Duke University because they had a very good program. Her background is more on her daddy's side of the brain. She was daddy's girl. Was the mathematics and economics. And they had a wonderful program there at Duke. And she came home and she said, Mom, Dad, I want to go someplace where it's warm. All those Ivy League schools up there, it's so cold there all the time, Part of the reason for that was, besides being a wonderful academic and voracious reader in every other academic way, she was an equestrian. She had loved to ride horses and compete in equestrian teams and everything. And Duke had a great equestrian team, and she was eventually co-captain of. So we packed her up and moved her to Raleigh-Durham area. And she just fit in well. She loved it. She was president of the student class. She was way off the charts again with her grades. And wait till I tell you this statistic. I don't know anybody that does this. My husband and I looked at each other and said, no way you can do this. She graduated in 3 years with a triple major in mathematics, economics, and philosophy, with a 3.67 out of 4.0. Yeah. Thank you, God, thank you. She really wanted, but she kept coming home all the time. Well, I want to really make a difference, Mom, Dad. What can I do? And she said, well, I really want to study graduate school. I want to maybe study finance and business and use all my math skills and everything. So she worked for about 6 or 8 months in New York City in a finance firm. And then she just wanted to go back to graduate school. Mom and Dad had always kind of encouraged that too, of course. And so she started looking around for graduate schools, and she found out the #1 graduate school, and that U.S. News and World Report listing that year was the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. So at 22, because she had graduated a little early, she got accepted at the #1 school for a PhD program on a full scholarship with a stipend. Can you imagine? What an honor, what a gift. But she kept coming home, Mom and Dad, I want to make a difference. She said, I'm not going up there just to get into finance and make a lot of money and be a big Wall Street exec and everything like that. But just think, Mom, she'd say, what if I have a portfolio and make some money on it? We could save some money and help all of our charities and our causes, the things we want to do. That was the way she thought. And she was so good to people, such an outgoing person, really, really worked well with people, great leadership potential. So Mom and Dad and Sean moved Shannon up there. This is the summer of 1997 to begin her first year at the Wharton School. Inner city Philadelphia was where the school suggested that they live. Of course, you go to the housing office and we say, safe place, we're going to look at the crime statistics, be sure it's okay. And they said, oh, there's this wonderful brownstone building down in Center City, Philadelphia. And you can live, there's an apartment with a lot of other graduate students there. And you would just fit right in real well. And so we moved down there. And so we went and looked at the place, the landlord was there, she said, explained how safe it was. Had to push a button to get into the apartment door. There were 6 buttons, there were 6 apartments on 2 and 3 floors on top of each other. And then if you get through that door, you still have to go up to the 2nd floor where her apartment was, and you have to push, lock, the door had double locks on it. We checked on that. Went into the apartment, small, single apartments, 1 person lived. And it was, you know, they had a bedroom, a bathroom, and the only thing, it had a little balcony out in the back, but it was very, very small, 2 by 4. And, you know, we said, is that safe? I mean, oh yeah, you know, look at, there's a big tree out there and there's got barbed wire around it. You know, don't need to worry, but we were, of course, concerned. And she loved it. And she met the students, other students in the other apartments, and it just seemed like a perfect fit. So in late summer of 1997, we moved her to Philadelphia. She starts her first year and is doing very, very well. Always, and she's just, you know, very happy. She comes home and, you know, has a good time, because it was only a few hours drive from where we lived. And so we're having a very successful year. She's doing well in grades and everything. So we're getting to the end of her first year, and now we're getting to May of 1997. I'm sorry, May of 1998. She started in the summer of 97. And she's there, she's getting all excited about coming home for the summer. She sends her an email to her favorite daddy. Oh, Dad, we're going to get together this summer. We're going to write some papers together so we can get them published and everything. And Mom, we'll have to go shopping, right? We're not going to go shopping. And so we're getting the summer all planned. And the night before she was supposed to leave, everything went wrong for Shannon. Everything went wrong for Shannon. It started when some pattern of crime had been going on in that neighborhood, and the community was not alerted to it. There was a pattern of serial rapes in the neighborhood. Within a 6 to 8 block area, 4 to 6 block area, I think it was more like it, they had had 3 or 4 rapes, serial rapes in that same community. The police had not put the pattern together. The first 2 they didn't even believe were rapes, because they know maybe it was consensual, or maybe you had too much to drink at a bar down the street or whatever. And so they didn't report them, so they were non-reported rapes. They're not counted as a crime. And when the next 2 happened, they started putting them together, but as you know, in most police departments, by the time they have the 3rd rape and the 3rd crime in the pattern that has the same characteristics, time of day, all the other things, the same operation, they start to say this is a pattern, and that this is something that we have to notify everybody. And they usually send emails to all the campus and the university students. If it's in that community, they put it on the evening news. You might see a composite sketch. You've seen this from time to time. None of that happened. Shannon didn't even think there was any reason to be concerned if someone was following home after she was studying for her finals and she just needed a couple nights ahead of time to take a break and go to a movie. And she didn't understand this person was following her home. She kept trying to duck out of the way so he wouldn't see where she was going. But she was a very attractive woman, and she, maybe someone's trying to pick her up or whatever. She didn't think anything, and she didn't know to be suspicious or be concerned that it was a, criminal pattern in the neighborhood. She didn't know about it. So then begins the second thing that went wrong that night. First of all, this pattern wasn't detected. Secondly, her son, my son, her brother, called a couple nights before and said, Shannon, I want to go up to my college, graduate school, and see my friends. It was the year after he graduated, and he wanted to come up and get together with some of his friends, and that was up in Massachusetts. And he says, can I stop by and stay overnight tonight? Maybe we can go out to dinner and have some fun time together, and you can relax a little with you before your big exam next day. And she did. And so come on. Oh yeah, Sean, fine. Well, then the night before this happened, she said, Sean, I'm just stressed out. I've got this big finance exam in the morning. It's my last one. We have a study group in the morning, and then I just got to go pack home and pack and get going home. This is my last test. Why don't you come at noon tomorrow after the exam and everything? I won't be so stressed out. We can have lunch together, and then you can continue to drive north. And I'll get ready to come home. Okay, Sean said, sure, Shannon, that's what's best for you. Let's do that. So Sean did not go up there that night. Shannon was getting ready to go to bed. She would study for a few hours, and then around 12 or 2 or sometime in the morning, she would be taking her a bath or something so she could relax, go to bed, which she did that night. The same guy who was following her home had done his homework. He was that same serial rapist in that community, and he hadn't always do his homework because he had to think, how am I going to get in there and get out of there? He wanted to do his dastardly deeds and then leave. So he had studied how to get in. Well, he knew he couldn't push the buttons on the front door to be let in from the inside to her unit. And he certainly knew he wasn't going to get in to walk up the steps there, and he shoots on the second floor to get into that door. So he picked a pattern of going through these old brownstone buildings. There were real buildings there in that neighborhood, and they're real close together. And so, thank you, honey. He would have figured out a way, he's very athletic, very agile, to shimmy up between the two buildings and then jump over the side of this narrow little patio, which was 2x4. So he had managed to get over there at the second floor on that patio, by the patio door, and when the water started running and she was going to run back, he'd figured out a way to shimmy the lock on that screen door and be able to get into the apartment that way. He didn't have to go on the barbed wire tree to get up there. He got another way without getting in and out of there. So that hour of the morning, the students, a lot of them were up in the other apartments studying because it was a big final exam day the next day. And she was taking her bath and walking out. When she came out of the apartment, she would do just what you would think, right? Oh my God, there's somebody that's in there. I mean, someone walked in, she screamed. Well, that was another thing that went wrong. That alerted some student across the hall, was a pre-med student, 6 feet door to door. He comes over and knocks on the door. Shannon, you're right. No answer. Shannon, he heard a scream. He went back to the apartment and made a 911 call. We have the 911 tape. I heard my neighbor scream, I heard a choking sound. Within 5 minutes, 2 police came out to the door, to the apartment, and they let him in. And they told him the story. The woman downstairs below her apartment said, I heard and noticed the shuffling sound too. The police came in and listened to all the students' story, and they said, well, there's no signs of forced entry. There's no one answers the door. Maybe that came from a screen from a TV nearby or something. They left in less than 5 minutes. The next day, my son came up there to Philadelphia to meet her for that lunch. He goes to her cubicle at school. We didn't see Shannon. She didn't come to the study group. She wasn't there for the exam. He calls me and I says, Mom, I'm here. They don't know where Shannon is. I said, Sean. And he says, I kept trying to call her. Nobody is answering. Nobody knows. And he goes, I said, Sean, you have to go over and look for the car in the street, go around the back, and be sure to see if that back door's open. Then you have to go and push all the 6 buttons, see if somebody will let you in. And call me, because I can call the landlord if you can't get in. We have to know what's going on. Nobody knows where she is. So he did, and he pushed the button, and the very same person who called 911 was in there and let him in. And he said, come on. I did call the police. He started shaking. I called the police. I don't know why they wouldn't take down the door. So the 2 of them ran up and pushed down the door. And there my son sees this blood-spattered apartment, his naked sister raped and dead on that bed. And he collapsed. Imagine then when you get a call, you have to come to Philadelphia and identify a dead body. You can imagine. The anger, the fool could ever do this. My God, why? This terrible, terrible feeling. Please, God, I remember when I got that first call, I said, Sean, just go over and check and then call. And I remember going to the restroom saying, please, God, give me the grace. If this is bad, I feel awful. What's going to happen? Please help us. And then that call came in. And I had to call my husband and say, we have to go to Philadelphia. And such was the first step of this horrible journey, this long path that we had to take together. And it took eventually, they shortcut this here with our time limit. I said, it took the police 4 years to find the person. He had moved to another state, got married, and started the same pattern on another college campus at Fort Collins, Colorado State University. And when they matched the patterns, eventually over time, they found out they had the same DNA and the same samples between the 2 cities for that crime. And they eventually caught him. But in that 4-year period, I got very involved in murder victim family groups, a support group. I learned from many of the murder victims' families. I saw what happens to them as they wait 5, 10, 15, 20 years because they're promised they're going to get justice and peace because the district attorney and sometimes the prosecutors want to say, we're going to give them the death sentence. They came out immediately after this story was published. And the district attorney says, this is a horrible case. This death penalty qualified. This is going to do it. Well, in that 4-year period, we started to study the effects of this. We knew what our Catholic faith had taught us, that the sanctity of life was from the moment of conception until natural death. We believed that. That was one of our principles. We didn't want to be angry people. We wanted just to take all the positive things we could do and honor our daughter. And we knew if we were dragged through these courts, in and out, reliving the story year after year, it was going to be a very hard time to do that. And many of the murder victims' families warned us, advised us, don't go down that path. Eventually, they caught him. They caught him 4 years later, and we got to walk into the courtroom for the final sentence in Philadelphia. And he was standing just feet away from us and said, the district attorney turned to us and said, he eventually pled guilty to all the crimes. We did not want him to go to sit on death row. And they gave him life without the possibility of parole, which we knew then. Literally, it was in 5 weeks after they caught him, 5 or 6 weeks, that he was sentenced and sent to a maximum security prison for the rest of his life. And there isn't a day that goes by that we don't pray for him and wish him peace and is able to find what we've been able to find in our journey of faith. I don't know, how this journey is going, but we intend to. We got in touch with the family. We got to go meet the family. He came from a horrible background. He just had a horrible life. So that's where, we just had to go on and make our journey. We wanted to do something positive and honor her. And that's what our life has been since then. Phil's going to tell you a little bit more about that part of what we've done since then.